Hey everybody, I'm sure you're aware of ISIS, the Islamic State that has been attempting to take over Iraq and Syria. It seems to be a partial fulfillment of Revelation 9 and a warning of what is coming next. So, Revelation 9 says, when the sixth trumpet sounds, a voice from the four horns says, "Loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates." And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army was 200 million. So it's talking about this army that comes out of the Euphrates River. And the Euphrates River runs through Iraq and Syria. You can see Baghdad right here, and it runs up through this section of Syria here. And this is a map from the New York Times, updated August 11th, 2014. And you can see the controlled ISIS locations run along both the Tigris and the Euphrates. So here's Baghdad right here, and this is the Euphrates, and this is the Tigris going up in this direction. And on this map here from NPR, you can see ISIS rose out of the Euphrates River. So down at the bottom, it shows the dates starting in January 2013, and it goes until June of 2014. So Revelation 9 tells us this army that is prepared in the Euphrates will be 200 million by the time the asteroid impacts. And at that time, they will attack the area of the earth that is struck by the asteroid. So it's right here in Revelation 9. It says, "A star falls from heaven. It opens a huge pit. It darkens the sky and the air, and smoke comes out of the pit and darkens the sky and the air, and locusts come out of the smoke, and then an army of 200 million come out of the Euphrates and kill the third part of men." And it says this happens at the sixth trumpet. So right here, you can see it's described in both the sixth trumpet and the sixth vial. I have a video on this link below. It's called the seven trumpets. And this is Revelation 16 right here. It talks about the seven vials, and it describes the preparation of the kings of the east in verse 12. It says, "The sixth angel poured out his vial upon the Euphrates, and the water was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared." So the drying of the Euphrates has been going on for years. This is a New York Times article from 2009. But recently, in April 2014, ISIS closed the Euphrates Dam, cutting off water from central and southern Iraq. So it says here, the water of the Euphrates was dried up so the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So that kind of makes sense there. And then you can see this, it says here that this will happen right before the Battle of Armageddon. So the timing that the Bible gives for these events is the army out of the Euphrates that leads into the Battle of Armageddon. That happens when the asteroid impacts during the sixth and seventh seal and during the seven trumpets and plagues. So the Bible says the seven trumpets and plagues happen in one day. That's the asteroid strike. And we've got several codes here in Revelation 9 where it talks about this army. So it talks about the four horns here, and then it talks about the four angels. Okay, so first of all, who are the four angels? It seems to be a reference to Revelation 7, because Revelation 7 talks about the four angels. It says, "After these things," or "with these things," because we know this word right here also means with. So "with these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds, that the wind should not blow on the earth." And then it says, "Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads." And then it talks about the number of those that are sealed. It says there are 144,000. So the four angels here are protecting the 144,000 prior to the asteroid impact. They're preventing this event or holding it back, but then at some point they let it go and they let nature take its course after the 144,000 are protected. And this is happening at the sixth seal right here. So by that time, the multitude is already in heaven and the 144,000 are being sealed on the earth. So Revelation 9 tells us the sun and moon go dark because of that asteroid strike. And Matthew 24 says the sun and moon go dark and the stars fall at the end of the tribulation, which we're told lasts 1260 days or years. So here's what it looks like at first examination. But there's also another possibility that the 1260 year tribulation can also end at the start of the final 1260 days, because Revelation 12 seems to indicate that there's a period of 1260 years prior to the final 1260 days. And I have another video on that as well. So Matthew 24 tells us the sun and moon go dark immediately after the tribulation of 1260 days. That's the asteroid impact. But if Revelation 12 is telling us a 1260 year tribulation will end when the 1260 day tribulation begins, then it could be that the escape will occur at the asteroid impact. So seems to be possible. It might be possible, but it's clear though by Matthew 24 combined with Daniel 12 and Revelation 12 that the asteroid hits after either a 1260 day period or a 1260 year period. And we have a 1260 year period ending between 2014 and 2016, which also coincides with the last 3 years of Daniel's 7 years. So this chart is explained also in the links below. So the four angels hold back the winds until the 144,000 are sealed. Then the asteroid hits and the four angels release those bound in the Euphrates, or at least that's when those that are bound in the Euphrates go and kill those that are in the third part of the earth. So I realize this verse right here was originally translated to say the angels themselves are bound in the Euphrates. But if we look at the meanings of these words here, and if we look at the history behind it, it makes more sense that the angels are releasing that army that's bound in the Euphrates. So this is the New American Standard Bible Translation here. It says, one saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So this makes it sound like the angels were bound there. But we know the ancient scribes didn't understand a lot of the material, so they mistranslated some of it, and that's understandable. But right after that, it says the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year to kill the third part of humans. And that refers to the third part of the earth that's hit by the asteroid. Right here, it's highlighted in green. We talk about that in the video, Asteroid When and Where, and also in the video on the 7 trumpets. Both are linked below. And how they are killed is mentioned in verse 18. It says, by the fire, the smoke, and the brimstone that came out of the mouths of the army. So they're killed by the army. And also the smoke, and we know the smoke came out of the huge pit that the asteroid impact caused. So that's part of it. They're suffering from the smoke that came out of that pit that the asteroid created. And then this army comes out of the Euphrates, an army of 200 million, verse 16, and they kill those people living in the third part of the earth where the asteroid hit. But this army is not the four angels. This is an army that comes out of the Euphrates. So some people think that the four angels are fallen angels or something, because clearly, it implies that they're the ones that kill the third part of humans. But the clue is in the number of them, because it says there are four angels. So this is referring, or seems to be referring, to the four angels in Revelation 7 that were holding back the winds, and then they release it right here. So this translation right here seems to have been translated slightly wrong. The translation that makes more sense would say, one saying, which is referring to the voice from the four horns. So the voice from the four horns says to the sixth angel and the four angels who are holding back the winds, release those who are bound in the Euphrates. That would make more sense. So it's not saying the angels are the ones that are bound. It's the four angels who release the army. They're not causing the event. They held it back until they could protect the innocent. Then they let it go. So that makes more sense. So the four angels are not killing anybody. It's the army of 200 million that does that. And this here is the interlinear version. The order of the words get changed during the translation process, sometimes incorrectly. But you can see that the word those is right here. So again, the more logical translation of this would be saying to the sixth angel, the one having the trumpet, and the four angels, release those bound at the great river Euphrates. Okay. And then this word 3089 for release right here, 3089, it also means release from prison. So, and the four angels released those bound, having been prepared for the hour and day and month and year that they might kill a third of mankind. So that translation's slightly different from the King James, which says they were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year. So which is it? I mean, we don't really know, because it could be either one. So is it saying that the army was preparing for 1 year prior to the impact, or just that it was preparing for the year of the impact, the hour of the impact? It could mean both, but if it means that they were preparing for a full year prior to the impact, then this ISIS army might be our clue. So this is the timeline of events here on Wikipedia. It says the group was founded in 2003. It declared war on Shia Muslims in September 2005, then gained control of southern Baghdad in 2006 and 7, but was removed from the area. Then on May 12, 2007, they claimed responsibility for an ambush in which 4 U.S. soldiers were killed, one of which was found in the Euphrates. Then they issued a warning in July 2007, warning of a severe war against Iran and other Persians if they support the Shia government. Then the bombings began in 2009, an attack on the central bank of Iraq in 2010, and then more bombings in August, and the Baghdad church attack on Halloween 2010. And then they issued a statement of support for Egyptian protesters in February 2011 during the 2011 Arab Spring movement. And I have to stop part 1 right here, and the link to part 2 is below.